Well, hello, and thank you for joining me for another Alex on Tech and iTWire TV interview. I'm joined today by Nigel Lindsay-Smith. He's the Managing Director of NiCE in Australia, the company that helps companies automate customer service and boost efficiency. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me, Alex. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time. Now, Nigel, could you please briefly recap NiCE's mission and the value that the company brings to customers in 2026?
Sure. So NiCE has been around for around 40 years. So we have a very strong pedigree in the CCaaS space. We started as a call recording business, and we've rapidly evolved and expanded the solution set to make sure that we're a complete CCaaS capability. And most recently, we acquired Cognigy, which really doubles down on our AI-led vision for providing the best CX solution that's available in the market. And we have a variety of customers. We service a small, medium business right up to the top end of enterprise. And our goal is really to make sure that we're providing technology that delivers amazing experiences for our customers, but also the agents that operate in the contact centers of our clients to support that engagement with their own customers as well.
So, Nigel, NiCE just opened a new headquarters in Sydney, and this is done so at a time when many tech firms are tightening costs. So what's driving that investment, and what does it signal about your growth expectations in Australia and New Zealand?
So NiCE has actually grown significantly in ANZ over the last 5 or 6 years. We've seen continued improvement in both the investments customers are making in the space, but also in adapting the technologies that we've enhanced our portfolio with. We have had a significant long-term commitment to Australia and to the partners that we work with in this region. And as we've adopted the AI capabilities that Cognigy's brought, we've just seen further opportunities to expand our operations and expand our partnerships with customers in regions. So the office is indicative of the fact that we outgrew our old one, which is a great sign. We're still hiring, we're still growing, and we're bringing really the best of people in the space to work with NiCE Australia, and predominantly out of Sydney. However, we are moving operations to Melbourne as well.
So what's fueling demand for NiCE in Australia?
I think the demand for NiCE is really coming from organisations who are expecting more from their contact centre solutions and more from the technology stacks that support them. The secondary, I guess, evolution is really coming from organisations experimenting with AI and generative AI technology. And with the acquisition of Cognigy, we brought the market leader, arguably the best of breed AI tech, and bringing that business into NiCE CX1, which is our core platform, is really allowing customers to expand the capabilities that they offer to their own customers. In many cases, it's not just about looking at cost reductions. It's looking at efficiencies for the end customer and making sure that you, as a consumer, your time is valuable. You don't get it back when you're sitting on hold. It's about reducing wait times and making sure that agents are more efficient. So organisations are taking that much more seriously now than they ever have before, and it's absolutely fantastic for NiCE and for the suite that we offer.
Yes, and on my iPhone, and I know Pixel phones have it as well, they have this call hold assist, but you're still sort of on edge waiting for them to answer the call and hoping that the call operator doesn't drop the call because you're not there, and that sort of thing. So it's nice to see that on the the customer service side of things, that true improvements have been made to genuinely speed that up. And many companies are talking about AI and customer experiences. So what are Australian enterprises doing in this area to stand out from the crowd?
So Australia's actually quite advanced in many areas, and possibly a little behind in others. One of the key things that is happening a lot is experimentation. So organisations are putting significant budgets behind investments in AI, generative AI, and agentic AI, and testing the waters and seeing what kind of capabilities they can leverage, and what the experiences will be like for their customers, but also their internal teams. So we're running a lot of experimentation. We're doing a lot of future state road mapping, and looking at what the CX experience of the future will be. I think the other area that the Australian organisations are potentially struggling with is moving those to production, largely because we have Visibility, a lot of visibility when there are errors made. So there have been a couple in the press recently where AI has taken a slight turn and operated slightly differently than was originally expected. But what we're seeing with strong guardrails and with strong security and capabilities that are offered through platforms like the Cognigy platform on NiCE, we're able to minimize those risks. And really, the customers that are experimenting with us are really looking to move into production as quickly as possible. We have a few live customers already that are using relatively limited use cases, but still very public facing and very much reducing that time to serve their customers.
Yeah, and it's only going to grow and become more sophisticated. I mean, that's just the way of the technology. Well, it's the way of the world, which is an exciting thing to see. Now, there's still some skepticism about AI delivering ROI, which I've said to two big tech companies over the past couple of weeks who really be known as ROAI, which I thought was very funny, but it's also true. So can you please point to where NiCE is driving measurable and tangible results beyond what you've already said?
Yeah, so look, the biggest one that impacts immediately is around containment. So companies face quite a large cost to serve customers where the service of their inquiry could easily be handled through self-serve or through an agentic experience. So one of the biggest challenges if you look at the financial services industries and if you look at the telcos, they have a lot of people who call with simple billing inquiries or requests to get latest statements or payment extensions. A lot of this can actually be handled very simply and very autonomously with AI. So in terms of a return on investment, if you look at the cost to handle one of those calls, sometimes they'll range from $10 a call up to $20 or $30 a call, depending on the efficiency of the contact center. All of those calls can immediately be deflected and handled through an AI agent and using generative AI technologies. So organizations are seeing big reductions in cost by looking there first. And as I said, the second return on investment, whilst it's not tangible, dropouts in contact centers is a very common measure of how successful your contact center operations are. And being able to minimize those by ensuring that your human agents are handling the most important calls and getting to calls more quickly has a really tangible commercial benefit to organizations, particularly if you're in sales and if you're running a contact center that is driving revenue into the business.
And what will be tangible is the customer satisfaction. I mean, I have make calls to contact centers like everybody else does for various things. And, sometimes you hear the companies are doing things like giving you the hours that they're open or telling you various BSB or account numbers that you might need to know about the superannuation firm that you're with. I mean, some of that information is right there on their website at the bottom, there because people need that sort of information. And so having an agentic AI a customer experience representative there to help you means that you can get straight to talking to a human-like presence as quickly as possible. And if you need to then be transferred to a human, then that can happen very quickly too. So, I mean, this is going to just smooth the interactions and get you speaking to somebody, even if it's a digital entity, which is going to just, make people happy. I mean, nobody enjoys being on hold for a long time. And that's why they invented those call hold assists. So I don't know if you want to make any comments there, but looking forward to that.
Yeah, call hold assist is a necessary technology because, as you said, people only have a limited amount of time, and in some cases you might be on hold longer than you expect, and it feels like dead time. So there's value in the call hold assist, but actually being able to completely self-serve and be able to completely get your inquiry resolved without maybe having to escalate to a human is always going to be preferable because you know that you've solved your problem on the spot and you can move on.
Yeah, in and out, get on with the rest
Yeah,
of the
absolutely.
day.
Yeah. And we see that as a really high value win for customers that, particularly as you mentioned, super funds getting a statement or just sense checking a BSB number before you send some money on a financial transaction. Those things are very, very simple to automate and really should never need a human in the loop.
Yeah. Now, on the acquisitions front, you've already mentioned that NiCE has acquired Cognigy to strengthen your AI capabilities. So what else, but beyond what you've already told us, does Cognigy technology bring to NiCE's offers and efforts?
So I'm only a few weeks into NiCE and I'm learning more about Cognigy every day, and I'm just constantly surprised and amazed really at the capability that the platform provides. So Cognigy on its own it's an orchestration platform that sits over multiple layers of technology. So The key advantage for organizations is you're not locked into particular LLM vendors or other AI vendors. Cognigy can sit over the top of all of them. It can also sit over the top of multiple contact center solutions, so not limited to our own CX1 solution, although there is a better together story there that we are building. The exciting thing about the Cognigy capability is really our ability to develop at scale and at speed. And those are, in my opinion, the two new frontiers for AI as it moves into production, is going to be how quickly can you build an automated experience, an agentic experience, but then more importantly, if it needs to be optimized, it needs to be changed, or you need to add more, how quickly can you build that? And traditionally, with the old paths, even if you were using AI, it's been around for a while, in your automation paths, it's complex and takes a lot of development time and UAT time, testing time, to be able to make sure it's ready for production. Cognigy really speeds that process up. So what could have taken weeks before can actually be developed and deployed in days. And that's the really exciting thing for organizations. And that's where the traction's coming with Cognigy, with particularly Australian businesses that have limited time to be able to experiment, but also have the appetite to get production-ready AI in place so that they can launch it.
Yeah, the power of AI for you to improve your products and services, and the power of AI for the customers to get things done in a far faster time than was ever possible before.
Absolutely. And NiCE really, we drink our own champagne, and we have some very strong internal metrics around focusing on how we use AI in our own business, so that it's not just something we sell, but it's something that we adopt in our day-to-day life, be that across the sales organization, where we're using AI to help with our prospecting and looking at the types of customers that we should be talking to and educating, right down to some of the more simple capabilities around our development and our coding, and the speed with which we can release new lines of code using AI, and then even into our support network, where we had an example recently where an incident took 4 to 6 hours to get to the root cause and to fix the code on some testing that we were doing. When we ran the same experiment using AI to support it, we were able to identify the issue within minutes, and then have humans spend the next 50 minutes making sure that what they were looking at was actually accurate and correct. So there's a really strong capability with AI that we're implementing across NiCE as well.
Technology has always given humans superpowers. When we got the typewriter, you didn't have to write. We have the printing press. 250 scribes could be replaced by one device. I mean, we saw Iron Man with his fictional super suits. But AI is really giving, us here on planet Earth superpowers. I mean, the ability to nail that problem down in minutes, and then within the hour have it actually, properly sorted and checked so that it wasn't happening again. I mean, that's incredible. I mean, I'm just loving this AI revolution that we're in. It is,
yeah, and it's a hockey stick of change. So if you think about ChatGPT and what you were able to do, even as late as October last year, versus what you're able to do with the capabilities today, it's incredibly different. Accuracy is off the charts. The capabilities and the speed that they operate at is also off the charts. So we're really looking forward to seeing how this manifests itself over the course of the next 12, 24 months, particularly with customers that are leaning in the space, because the opportunities to provide incredible CX and do that at pace, it's never been available before to the scale it is now.
Yeah, and as we record, October was 6 months ago. So what's going to happen in 6 months hence, let alone 12 to 24?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, contact centers remain under pressure from labor shortages and rising customer expectations, which hopefully this AI is going to absolutely help fix there. So how does NiCE help organizations genuinely improve service and move the needle on customer satisfaction, in addition to all the amazing things you've already described today? There must be some other things that you can tell us about.
Yeah, so look, NiCE, as I said, has a pedigree in call recording and quality control. So it's still a pillar of what we provide, which is ensuring that we've got tools that allow our team leaders and managers in contact centers to provide the very best coaching to their staff. We have AI tech that sits alongside that, Copilot and auto summarization. The Copilot is technology that provides data to the agents so that in real time they can be providing accurate answers back to customers without having to go to spreadsheets or databases, etc. So really streamlining that process to make sure that we're delivering the right information to the customer in a timely manner. Containment naturally is going to reduce pressure in the contact centers, because some of those calls that sit in queue that are, again, able to be self-served, we should be able to take those out. Most importantly, particularly with Cognigy, the ability for us to analyze conversations as they're happening, be they through digital channels or through voice, and be able to use the AI to provide insight to the agent at the time as to, is the call going well? Is the call going down the track it should be? What's this customer likely to be needing? How can we get you that data as quickly as possible? All those technologies are providing assets to the agents to ensure that they have a better conversation with the customers. So there are two sides to this coin. One is the agents having better experiences with their customers gives them better job satisfaction. So from a retention perspective in contact centers, which is a really tough thing to deal with, agents that have tools that allow them to deliver great experiences to their customers enhances their own job satisfaction. And then on the flip side, the customers that are engaging with agents, whether it be an AI agent or a human agent, are expecting to have their problem solved quickly and efficiently. Whether they've been waiting on hold for 1 minute or 10 minutes or 20 minutes, the expectation is that they're going to have everything solved on that first call. So that's really where we continue to double down on both the technology that we provide, but also the investments in helping customers understand how to use those technologies to best service their agents, but also their external customers.
Yeah, and I've been on calls where I've asked the contact center person to look back through previous notes to see what was spoken about before. And, for the AI to be able to deliver that information right at the point of call. I mean, on Google phones, they call it Magic Queue. And on Samsung phones, they call it Nudge Now or something. So the information is just brought to you automatically. So it's nice to see that is also happening, not just for consumers, but in the enterprise space. I mean, it probably happened in the enterprise space first. And then secondly, I don't know if this already exists, but, even though you've got the self-service options, does the modern software allow you to make a call and then go through those self-service options, but actually be put into the queue so that if for whatever reason you weren't able to get your issue solved, you're already 5 minutes into your spot in the queue? And if the agent, the human agent comes to you and it sees that you're still on a self-service call, well, it just moves that to the next agent and it just answers the next call, which would save time on hold. Is that something that already exists, or did I just come up with a new feature?
You might have come up with a new feature. So let me dissect that a little bit, because there are some ways that technology works to support that. So let's say you do come on to a conversation. We're seeing a lot of move away from a traditional IVR, which is press 1 for service, press 2 for sales, press 3. To actually having an agent that you can talk to. So you would be able to call up a telco and you might be able to say, hey, I have 2 inquiries. 1, my bill was incorrect last month. 2, I'm looking to upgrade my son's contract on my mobile, on my plan. And the AI agent would be able to take that, understand that there are 2 inquiries, deal with the first one, which is, can you tell me more about the billing issue? And we'll be able to then determine, is the AI agent able to solve that billing problem and provide more detail that allows me as the customer to say, oh, okay, I understand that's a late fee, or I had some international roaming that was billed, so that makes sense, now I understand. And be able to then close that part of the call off and then address, sort of the upgrade of the contract. So the capabilities there are live and available. This is all generally available. It's not future state tech. It's customers can buy this right now and use it, and some do. We have a lot of global customers that are already using this. The second part about being able to then hand over to an agent, if the AI agent senses that there is some challenges or that the experience is not going the way it was intended to, it has the smarts to then escalate to a human agent and actually provide you, priority access to a queue, to escalate to a team leader. And I think if you think about some of those use cases, those might be particularly important where you've got a financial hardship case or a vulnerable customer who needs access right now, and doesn't have the ability to be waiting in queue for 20 minutes and needs to speak to someone urgent. So organizations do have escalation teams within their contact centers, And the technology that NiCE provides allows the identification of those calls to be flagged as high priority, important. We need to get this to a human as quickly as possible. And most importantly, the context of everything that's happened with the digital engagement or AI engagement is handed then to that human agent, along with, in many cases, here is the most likely outcome that this customer is expecting. So here's how you can help them the best way possible.
Yes, I mean, having to re-authenticate myself several times to telephone operators, is very annoying, and this would obviously help to avoid that. So, Nigel, some organizations are now building their own AI tools internally using hyperscale platforms. So why should a CIO still buy NiCE rather than build it themselves?
So there are a couple of schools of thought. One is organizations will always experiment building their own in-house and building internally. And maybe some businesses have very specific use cases that are not being addressed by the broader landscape of technology partners. The disadvantage with building in-house and the reason organizations move to companies like NiCE is we're constantly innovating and developing. We don't have the ability to stop and not think about what's happening next and what's coming tomorrow, what's coming the day after. So when you build yourself, typically what organizations do is they'll work in sprints, they'll build a strategy, they'll have a period of development time, a period of UAT, they'll then go to market and deploy what they've built. In some cases, that could be a few weeks. In many cases, that's going to be a few months. And as you mentioned earlier, the speed with which AI is developing and the speed with which organizations want to adopt new AI capabilities, in many cases can make that period of time stops that capability from being released as being the most relevant or being the most up to date. Whereas when you deploy with NiCE, all of the technology you're getting is the latest and greatest. And in many cases, you're already getting a roadmap of where the next investments we're making are, where the next growth opportunities with generative AI and agentic AI are going to be, and you're able to leverage those quickly and easily. And the third thing that many organizations find when they build in-house, they have to support in-house as well. So not only is the CIO making or CTO making a big investment in sort of the development of the program, they also then have to continue to support it and optimize it. And that's frequently where there's a lot of costs. At NiCE, we hire the best, and we hire incredibly forward-thinking development engineers, but also strategists, also value realization team members who support our companies to be able to leverage the tech that's available right now, but also think about what are we going to be doing, as the tech evolves, and what's our plan to continue to adopt and leverage the AI capability that NiCE has developed.
Yes, why reinvent the wheel when experts have done the job, and that's your job. I mean, you're not some other organization trying to bolt a customer service AI onto your systems. It's probably not going to end well unless you're really skilled.
And in many cases, it's actually not cheaper.
Yeah.
Most organizations that do go down that path do find they face significant tech debt and then significant vendor lock-in because they've made a choice with the vendor, as well as significant cost to support. So it's something that frequently when we're in early discussions, we'll use that as a bit of an education point to explain the why NiCE, which you've just asked. And it's a point that does resonate with most of the technologists we speak to.
Of all the things you've said so far, one of the behaviors that I've seen people do, and I've done it myself, is that you get frustrated with the outdated IVR system, or you explain something and it doesn't quite understand what you're talking about, and you sort of just go 0, 0, or you say operator, human, human, and that defeats the purpose of having this sort of system. So, but that was over the past sort of 4 or 5 years before we really had AI and before the sophistication of even just the last 6 months. So you must also be seeing that from your customers, that their customers are now reaching for that nuclear option of just get me to a human ASAP, because they have your system in place and it's managing things so much more smoothly.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's one of the things that organizations are very conscious of, because those calls that press 000, the way the IVRs have traditionally been built has been to ensure that you actually get to the right person, who can handle your inquiry. Whereas when you press 0, typically you get to more of a generalist who might not be able to handle your inquiry, and then you get put into a new queue anyway. So the technology advancements around, helping use your previous engagements to try and help decide where you might be going. As I said, AI that sits over the top of you, explaining what your inquiry is to an agent, a voice agent, which then listens to the intent and can route you to the right queue straight away, is where we're really seeing huge steps ahead in customer experience. And also, those CSAT scores that you talked about, organizations that have deployed NiCE are seeing, really strong improvements in CSAT very rapidly from some very simple, deployments and early deployments of our technology.
Now, AI is not even half a decade old yet, and we have endless sci-fi movies and TV shows telling humans not to trust the machines, that they're going to come and kill us. And so, clearly that's a cliche and a trope, and we're actually seeing, I teach people that technology is your friend, not your Terminator-like enemy, and we're seeing that more and more all the time. But even so, there's still a concern, especially amongst, perhaps even older people, many of whom I've told about AI and who dismissed it, and then I come back a week or two later and they're now loving it and talking to it because it's so patient, unlike their children or grandchildren. But there's a concern that AI could erode trust, particularly in regulated industries like banking. So how do you ensure that AI-driven experiences remain compliant, explainable and accountable? I think that's words you used before. And I remember talking about explainable AI in the late 2010s with people before ChatGPT. And thank goodness we are actually seeing that happen because it's so important.
So it's a really valid point. It's incredibly powerful for us to explain the way that we deliver our AI technologies into our customers. So at NiCE, whether it's on our CX1 platform with the AI tech that we have attached to the CCaaS or with Cognigy, we have incredibly strong guardrails. So we've built the technology ethically. We've built it with the ability for our customers to define where the AI can go and where it can't go, what it is allowed to do and what it's not allowed to do. And organizations are the ones in complete control of how they want that AI tech to be able to be leveraged across their business. So inbuilt, we have, as I said, plenty of guardrails. Data is incredibly secure. It's one of our cornerstones of our business is security of data. And if you think about from a bank's perspective, a bank is not likely, even in the short term, to completely automate something that's going to be, high risk for a customer. So it'd be unlikely that you'll ever be able to, move your home loan from one company to another or close a home loan out using pure AI technology. There's always going to be human in the loop on those areas. Where organizations are going to maybe push the boundaries a little bit is looking at speed to serve a customer versus the risk if they serve the customer through AI and what the worst case could be. So I think that's something that we're seeing organizations considering at the moment. But from an architecture perspective, we've built all of our tech to be safe, secure, and as I said, very heavily guardrailed, so that the customers themselves can control what they want to be able to deliver using AI to their end customers.
Yeah, they often say that a technology has succeeded when you don't even think about it anymore. Nobody walks into the room and thinks twice about where's the light switch. Like you just know to turn the light on. The water the tap turns on. You notice it when it's not working.
So,
well, that's right. And and you notice when it's not working. That's the only time you should notice it. and AI is becoming that.
It is, and many people are adopting it. Even normal people are adopting it. Are adopting a human personal assistant or an AI personal assistant. Sorry, lots of people. We at our office opening last night, we were talking about other technologies that are available like OpenClaw, and the capabilities that this agent has got to be able to do simple things for you at home. Why would that not be an expectation that you would have when you're dealing with brands that you deal with every single day, or maybe every now and then to book a holiday, or as I said, update your phone bill or update your address. So we are seeing that the customer's expectations are shifting and organizations are moving to meet those expectations.
Yeah, one example from a consumer point of view for me is I use the ability for my iPhone to read the screen, and even though there are premium voices, and they're better than ever, compared to the AI voice from Gemini, Claude, or OpenAI, it's terrible. That mispronounces words. It says live instead of live or live instead of live. And look, WWDC is coming soon, and Apple's promising all sorts of AI enhancements, major ones. Finally, they're going to deliver them this time. Let's hope. But you set these new this new benchmark, and then you notice when people are not living up to that, and that expectation for improvement is just very rapid. And for someone like me who's been involved in tech since I was 4.5 years old, I'm acutely aware of it. And most people are, all the young people are digital natives. They're even more acutely aware, and they're the customers that are going to be, having the most impact over the next 20, 30 years.
Yeah, I was going to say my son's just about to turn 21, and I don't think he's ever contacted a call center. He expects to be able to do everything completely through digital channels.
Live chat.
Yeah, it'll be chat. He's happy to chat to an agent or a bot. He doesn't even care if it's human or if it's AI, as long as it solves his problem. And I think that's only going to get, as you said, more and more ubiquitous in your life as you get used to, as you said, turning on the light and you get light. AI will play that role.
Now, you already mentioned about how the AI is augmenting the role of the contact center agent by having information right there in their field of view, popping up at the right time, escalating people if they can sense that there's a true urgency. Is there anything else that you would like to add about how that role is going to change over the next few years?
Yeah, I think that the quality of service of data is going to only improve as more and more organizations adopt the Copilot capabilities that sit alongside the agents. So at NiCE, we handle around 30 billion transactions a year, and we can use that wisdom of the crowds to make sure that we're servicing the right data at the right time. We're using advanced analytics to make sure that we are looking at trends and looking at sort of maybe across a telco, why would someone be calling in, particularly with airlines, flight disruptions, particularly with what's happening at the moment. Some of our airline partners are getting, upwards of 10,000, 15,000 conversations in an hour unexpectedly because a flight's cancelled. I think Lufthansa can handle around 40,000 conversations at a single instant with their AI capability through Cognigy. So I think that the technologies are going to do two things, as I said before. One, continue to contain where possible, to stop those conversations having to go through to agents in the first place, to make sure you're delivering amazing CX. But when they go through to the agents, having the data that's been provided through the self-serve is really critical. So a summary of all your interaction up to the point you're transferred to the human. Along with that, here's what we think you're next, most likely to need to be able to close this conversation out, is really going to make sure that those calls are handled super quickly, really efficiently, and very pointedly with exactly what that customer's contacting you for. I think the next evolution will be, how do we see what else that customer might need? So I don't know if currently you've ever had a phone call into a contact center and you're normally asked, is there anything else I can help you with today? Well, the next evolution of that might be something like, I can also see that this is something you might be interested in. Is that something I can help you with today as well? So providing those tools to make sure that agent, is able to have that conversation with you, and you can go, oh yeah, great. I would have had to call you up about that in the next couple of days. So yes, let's deal with that now.
Yeah.
So I think that's where we're going to see some advances as well.
Yeah. The comedian in me wants to say, would you like fries with that? But then McDonald's solved that, years and decades ago by actually offering bundled meals. It's very rare that somebody just buys a burger. You buy the bundle,
And if you're already on the phone and already on the call and already connected and already authenticated, from an organization's perspective, that's the best time to try and help you with what's next.
Yeah. The best way to sell to a customer is to have sold something to them before, because they already trust you. They're already in an environment where they're open to that sort of suggestion. Now, having said all of that, Nigel, what does the next phase of growth for NiCE look like in the ANZ region?
Look, firstly, we're heavily targeting large enterprises because we do see the opportunity for large enterprises to enhance their customer experience across the contact center technology stacks. That's the first thing. The second thing is, as I said, Cognigy, being a recent acquisition, has been rapidly adopted into our business, and we're also seeing enormous demand for the capability across the marketplace. And the fact that it can be a standalone solution and can be deployed with organizations that use competitive contact center technology is a real opportunity for us to go in and still help drive improvements in CX using Cognigy across other contact center solutions. Naturally, it's better if you use CX1, but that's an area that we're very heavily focused on. And we're spending a lot of time educating our partners and also educating the market on the art of the possible. So we're seeing that there's rapid appetite to adopt and test. We're also in conversations with existing large customers who are really looking now to move into production with AI and move at pace. So that's going to be a significant growth area for us. And the third area that we're seeing a lot of not just appetite, but there's also a lot of compliance and regulation coming down around this, is around financial hardship, around identification of vulnerable customers, and around any CX that has risk associated with it. We're seeing a lot of appetite from particularly financial services and telcos who've honestly had a little bit of a rough time recently with a couple of challenges with supporting customers in those areas. We're seeing that those are massive growth opportunities for us, and we're really poised to support organizations that are looking to transform in that area and really deliver better experiences to their customers.
Now, Nigel, as we're getting towards the end of the interview, I always like to ask the people I'm interviewing, could you please share a memory of your first personal computer?
My first personal computer was a Commodore 64, so that's really showing my age. It was a C64, and I was actually living in Vanuatu at the time. I think it was about 7 or 8. I came home from school, and my parents had set it up, and it was a little screen, and it had a keyboard attached to it, and it had a floppy disk drive. And I think it had a paddle game that was attached to it that came with it called Le Mans Grand Prix. I kind of used a little paddle to turn the car left and right and drive up a racetrack. So that was the first PC that I had, and I'm pretty sure it's still kicking around somewhere at my parents' house.
Probably worth a fortune these days if it's in good
It
condition.
It might be. I think it was heavily used, so probably not in the best condition.
And so my second last question is to ask if you could please share some of the best advice you've received in life to help you get where you are today.
Wow, some of the best advice I received in life. So one of the best pieces of advice I ever got was, I've been in sales for a long time, and an old sales leader said to me, "You're the face of the company. So you need to act like that, and you need to think about that with every interaction you have. So when you're in the office, look sharp, work, ethically, make sure that, when people hear about sales that you're involved in, that you're doing everything correctly and properly, because you're not just representing yourself and your company, you're representing every single person that works behind the scenes." And that's something that's really stuck with me, and is a kind of philosophy that I have with the way that I look after my team, the way that the business that we run operates, but also how we support our customers.
Well, that's very good advice indeed. So, Nigel, what is your final message to the viewers, listeners, and the readers?
So look, I think take advantage of the AI revolution that's happening. There's a lot going on at the moment. NiCE is particularly well placed with the acquisitions we've made, but also our deep understanding of customer experience and the long pedigree that we've got. We're here to help. We have advisory services that we can provide. We have a huge amount of referenceable customers who are really eager to talk about what we do. We are growing significantly in the region. We're putting people on to support both customers that are considering being customers and also existing customers, and helping them enhance their investments with our technology platforms. And I'm really excited to see what's going to happen with customer experience and also agent experience. As you said, over the next 12 months, I think things are going to rapidly evolve. And we're really looking forward to seeing contact center wait times reduced to make sure that everyone out there who has a need to speak to a brand is able to get there as quickly as possible and have the best experience possible.
Well, Nigel Lindsay-Smith, the Managing Director of NiCE Australia, thank you so much for taking the time. It's clear to see that you're one of the nice guys, and I do look forward to speaking with you again in the future.
Thank you, Alex. That's fantastic. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.